You know, hello, you two. I have to say, my new favorite messy couple on television. This
Yeah.
is great to watch. I want to talk about building this relationship. Liana, tell me a little bit about working with Tom and how fabulous that seems to be.
Come on, let's go. Don't be shy. Don't
Wow.
hold back. The floor is yours.
I would say a joke, but Tom's been surprisingly very nice during this press junket, so I guess I'll be nice too. It was honestly a joy. I think the thing that I was looking forward to the most was in season two was what direction they were going to take Tori and Matt, and I was really hoping that in that would be a lot more scenes together and. We've touched on this already, but I think that when I read the first episode, I realized that Tori does such a 180 in terms of her approach and opinion and all of this that I was nervous that it was going to be really challenging and hard to justify. And it wasn't until I got on set and I started working across from Tom that all of that dissipated and it felt really fun. It almost felt like Tom and I were in our own world and we got to play and it kind of lends to the comedy too because you have Chris and Kaylee's characters being like, what are these people doing? And we kind of got to just be in this very zen Gustav world, which was very fun.
Well, it seems like Tom agrees with that a bit too. No, it feels so authentic and real, and I love it. And I will say, Tom, getting to see Matt kind of flip things up a little bit, getting to play a little bit of an investigator this go around. How was it? Did you like seeing the character grow a bit?
I did, and at first I was a little bit wrong-footed. I thought, "Oh my God, where are we going with this character?" I kind of worked quite hard to create the one that we did in season one. But what's wonderful is there's a kind of baseline through line of who he is, but I like to look at it that he's putting on different coats to see how he can manipulate these people and what different masks he can wear. But it was super exciting. To your point with I haven't talked about that yet in this press junket day. The investigative stuff was super fun because I thought it's really cool to like that movie Catch Me If You Can and DiCaprio's character at the end of it he's the con man who helps catch the con man. It's a really fun dynamic, I guess, when I got to be involved in the team trying to crack the case, which was super fun. But at the same time, I think the writing's confident enough that they keep the characters the same. So even though I'm helping trying to crack the case, I've got my own private secret agendas from Kaylee, even from Liana's character. When I have that scene when I come home and she thinks she cracks the case, I'm still working out my own private things. So it was very, very fun to play. Yeah.
I love the show that it gives me a little bit to play investigator myself, and I'm trying to put clues together. That is my number one thing I need in a show like this. Now, Liana, I have to ask, I love your taste in weird things, from Scream to your other work in slashers to this. You love a high body count. Where does that love come from? When did you start getting into the weirder side of filmmaking? Because we love you. The horror community loves you. The thriller community loves you.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you. I think I also just love the genre. I'm a big fan. There was nothing really calculated or intentional about the projects. I think I just gravitated towards them and had an interest and was a fan. And I mean, there's also something weirdly therapeutic about horror, not specifically for Tori. I mean, but who knows in the future, but not very often are you asked to just kind of go crazy and scream at the top of your lungs and have blood and sweat all over you and that life doesn't really call for that, or hopefully it doesn't that often. And so it's kind of fun. It feels kind of good. It's like a nice energy release sometimes. So yeah, I love the genre. It's so fun, and I think right now we're at like a peak when it comes to horror, and it's really it's fun to be a viewer.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you talked about those kind of getting to play with that role. And Tom, I've sworn off like sociopaths and crazy men in my own life, but I really like your character and I want to hang out with him more. Do you like playing this darker role? Kind of like what Liana was talking about there. Do you really kind of sink your teeth into playing a complicated character, I will say?
Yeah, like 100%. The more complicated the character, the more work you have to do as an actor, and the more rewarding ultimately it is. Also, there's a common trope that the bad guys get all the best lines, and it's kind of true. You get to do interesting, crazy things. And don't get me wrong, some of it's kind of horrible. Spending like a whole day with a woman lying on the floor at my feet, covered in blood, screaming "Help! Help!" Is after a while, I love it. You go, can't tell me more.
Well, I'm just more like, but
Yes.
also fun.
Yeah, and it's kind of, because we are, art is life warmed up, and you don't want to just see the month. You see the extremes. We want to go to those extremes, and when you get to be in them, as Liana said, you're like, what the hell am I? This is my job. I get to just stand there and just like stab someone, and then just like cut a body up, and then cover up a murder. It's super interesting and fun, and as an actor to like take yourself to that place is very difficult at times, but very rewarding. No one wants to just stand and play yourself all the time.
I like that life warmed up line. That was great. Thank you guys so much for speaking with me. It's a blast. I can't wait for people to see this couple be as wild as they are this season. Myth. Michael, how are you this press day?
I'm well. Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you. I'm
Right.
really excited to talk to you. I want to ask you about jumping into a season two. So
Sure.
we had our season one, and those, like, the baby steps, getting in, getting the groove. Now tell me about coming into season two with these. Are there new challenges, or do you feel a bit more prepared this time around?
Well, I think that's such a good question. Season one, we have this basically this kind of like wild idea in as the premise of the show. And in season one, you go along with it the way they do, right? It's like, can they pull this off? So for season two, we were very fortunate to team up with Annie Weissman, who we had loved physical. And she and this team of writers to really say, all right, we want to spend more time with the characters this season. We have Kaylee and Chris, who we could watch forever, but who have a baby now, and what are they going to go do? But we also have Liana, who we got to see a little bit and her own morality tale in season one. But where is she going in this season? And then we have Tom Bateman, who we've unmasked, and where does he go? And then how does that build? And then we obviously have this amazing new character, Melissa Barrero, who's one of our favorites. Definitely. I just said Barrero. We have one of our favorites in Melissa Fumero, who, I mean, we were all kind of starstruck when we were working with her. We love her from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and to give her this brand new character, which hopefully you've gotten to see, what she gets to explore this season. We felt really lucky and just can't wait for the audience to see it too.
No, absolutely. I mean, you have such a great eye for these characters. I never want to make a creative pick their baby, but is there some that you literally just love watching their madness unfold? I think Tom Bateman, I could watch him do his thing forever. It's just so fun
That's
to watch,
great.
and this character so good. Is there one that you just genuinely love watching their
That's so
madness?
great to hear. Well, on Tom Bateman, I have to say, casting Tom was ended up being a real coup for us because that's a hard role. Who's the killer that is a real character that you're going to connect with, fear, know who he is? Like that's a tough role, and agree. And I'm thrilled to hear you say that because Tom in season two really gets to like take the gloves off, and we really get to see who he is and the manipulations and who he is really for sure. Um, I can't tell a lie. Watching Chris Messina and Kaylee Cuoco, we would have to always remind ourselves, oh wait, no, come on, we got to do another take or get back in there. That's who they really are. They're the funniest people who I think see pieces of themselves in these characters, and that's why I think it's so funny. Kaylee is obsessed with true crime. And honestly, you would, if Kaylee tells you something, she believes it, and you really would go anywhere with her. You would. And Chris, who's us, who's like, well, does that make sense? Or, such a brilliant actor. And that's who he is, of like, really going there. And I think also by the end of the season, I can't wait for people to see what both of them, have to grapple with.
I love how I told you to pick one, and you're like, all of my babies are my
I know,
favorite. How
and
dare
I
you?
can't. Come on, we love all of our children equally. I
No,
can't.
no, it is great. But again, that is that show. I mean, Kaylee is so great. And Chris, I've loved him since I first saw him in Birds of Prey years ago. And then I'm like,
Oh,
who
wow.
is this man? What is going on here?
For
And I have to
sure.
ask you, so any writer or filmmaker trying to get you to be
Mhm.
interested, what is it about a project that
Mhm.
comes onto your desk that says, I need this? Like based on a true story, I've never seen anything quite like this. So
That's
what
great.
is it about a project that you see you're like, I need to be on this?
I think it's really what you just said. I I feel like the audience, I feel like my job is I feel very lucky to this day, like that I get to be the audience and say, what took me by surprise? What feels like something I haven't seen before? And what feels bold? And what am I excited to watch? In a way, I kind of feel like in my job, I'm saying like, what am I excited to see? And what I loved about this was and why I really have to give a massive thank you to Peacock all the way through because we said to them, all right, we're going to make a show where they're going to do this terrible thing and you're going to love them as they do it. And you're going to be rooting for them to get away with this terrible thing. And it's funny and it's moving and, et cetera. And they really got it. Look, a lot of what at our company, Jason Bateman and I are lucky enough to do, Ozark, we're rooting, for people to like kill people to save the family, or when he did Arrested, or I'm always looking for what are those stories and characters that I just feel like I want to see more of, or make me think about things differently, or are just so entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. I love watching these people be crazy. I can only imagine the elevator pitch of trying to pitch the show to anybody ever. It's just like, well,
Yes,
horrible people are good people. It's great. Michael, thank you so much for talking
exactly.
with me today. I cannot wait for people to see one, Tom Bateman being a little bit of an investigator too. I like that bit of this. So thank you so much.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Nice to meet
Thank
you.
you. Have a good